See, I got a question. No, there's no audio. Yeah, I can't hear anything.
Can you hear us now? Test, test.
I can hear you now. Good, thanks.
Thanks for letting us know. Okay. In case you missed all that, I asked several of Rick's coworkers what it's like to work with him. Who he is. What do you think of this Rick guy? And here's the responses.
Are you gonna let me know who said?
I mean, I could.
Right. Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
The funny comment I didn't include in my notes was, well, he's always going to tell you what he thinks and what his opinion is. And I was like, yep, there is that. And I love that. All right. So Rick is very thorough and always wants a win-win for both sides of the transaction and for his listings to be well prepared for buyers. He's a great human and cares strongly about his people and transactions. The next one. Rick is always there to lend a helping hand and share his knowledge and expertise. Rick has many years of experience in all areas of real estate, which he uses to be a fully concierge style agent. He brings energy and laughs to the market center. Next, Brama has been a great influence within our office, really pushing to create a luxury focused presence. I appreciate his leadership in helping new agents start and build their career in real estate. His effort to build a consistent happy hour schedule has brought synergy to the office, which many agents value. His dog Tater is also a welcome blessing to the office. All right, lastly, brilliant man of God and a brilliant realtor. Solution-based and has tons of resources at his disposal. He has a bit of an edge to him and likes to be in control. He was a marriage counselor. There you go. So, from the perspective of your colleagues, you're very well respected, and I'm so grateful you're here. I was trying to think back as to when, and like Matt and I are dinosaurs here with Keller Williams, when I first met you, and I don't think I can think that far back. So, tell us your journey, how you got into real estate, how you ended up at Keller Williams, and all of that.
That's good. Well, I did my undergraduate in psychology at Gustavus in the 90s, a long time ago. And I went right from there to do my master's in marriage and family counseling, also here in the Twin Cities. And about a month out of my marriage and family counseling program, once everything got done and final, I had to decide what to do with my life. I was either going to go on to PhD and be a child psychologist, run my own business, or something else. And at the time, my girlfriend at the time was a realtor, and I had grown up in the side jobs. My father was an air traffic controller, but he was also a carpenter. He built homes with his brother, and so he built two of the homes that we grew up in. And so I kind of grew up around houses, and I wanted to have a lifestyle. I remember thinking I go to Grace Church and we want to be able to do mission trips with our family. I want to be able to go on vacation. And for all of you in here, the two of you that are old enough to remember the movie What About Bob? What About Bob was a good description of how challenging being a professional psychologist is as far as your schedule. He had a client follow him on vacation and so on and so forth. So I just really had to think through it, and I decided I wanted to try real estate. So at that time, my parents weren't very excited about that because they knew I took a $50,000 loan out, which today would equate to about a $150,000 loan for that program. And I thought I was just completely switching gears. But here's why I did it. Here's what I learned. People move because of, I'll name 7 reasons. They're getting married, getting divorced, having children. Children are leaving the home for college or what have you. Job loss, job transfer, or God forbid, a death in the family. Well, I knew from my time in psychology that those 7 reasons why I just named people move are all in the top 10 stresses that humans experience in our lives. And so there's a lot more to it. And I thought maybe I can bring some of this background in psychology into this business and just see how it works out. So that's how I started. So my wife was already a realtor. That's a much longer story. So that just know that she was international business, political science. She was a lobbyist and accidentally got recruited by a gentleman named Adam LaFavor. When she was visiting her mom, she became a realtor, and she then trained me. M.W. Johnson, Bill and Maureen Johnson, started a Remax Metro South in Lakeville, and my wife was the first realtor there. So she recruited the 40 plus agents there, and I said, I want to get into real estate. And she said, not a good idea. I'm really on my way out. And that was true. But I got in. We were at Remax for about 6 months and we started our own company. So big year for us in 1999.
So license in 99?
Yeah, this is what happens in 99. 99, I get licensed. We get married. We build our first house with Bill Johnson himself. That was fun. We started Envision Real Estate and we had our first child, our daughter Ashley, in 99. So was like, you're going to learn by fire. It's all going to happen right now. And we just went for it. So Envision Real Estate up until 2010. We had 14 agents at one time. Most of the time we had 3 to 5 of us. And that was out at Eden Prairie. I had an office in downtown Eden Prairie. They took the building down, and now there's a 6-story building there. And then in 2010, I moved to Keller Williams because Joe Cashmore spent 6 years trying to get me to move over to Keller Williams. He was a colleague that I did business with, and became a friend, and became a closer friend after I moved. So I've been at Keller ever since.
Awesome. Those of you guys don't know Joe, Joe passed away in what year?
Yeah, I'd have to guess 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
Probably now, because time flies, you know.
Yeah, what a great guy.
Yeah, he was awesome. Yeah, that's what our office has got, a culture award that it gets given. It's a Joe Cashmore Culture Award, so it's pretty neat.
So, wow, that's quite the journey. So walk us take us from then to now, but let's kind of work our way backwards, just give the room context. So today, give us a picture of what your business looks like, who you work with, kind of rough. I didn't look up production or numbers, any of that, and that doesn't necessarily matter, but give us an idea what kind of business you're doing now.
Sure. So just to go back to give a full picture, in 2000, there's another piece of this. By the way, I got my broker's license right away. After you have to be a realtor for 2 years. In 99, I became a real estate agent, and 2 years later, immediately got my broker's license because I took over as broker of Envision Real Estate from my wife a couple years after that. So we knew that was going to happen. In 2000, I ran into my cousin. I have 40 cousins on one side, the Italian side, and 15 on the other. I ran into my cousin. He was a custom home builder, and said, "Hey man, I should be selling your houses." Hi. And he said, "Yeah, we should be working together." So from 2000 to 2005, I was a representative for Mark V Construction. We built about 20 homes a year from Elk River all the way down to Shakopee. And in that, I was able to get like half of those listings of the buyers who we were bringing into the model homes and stuff. So I really got integrated in new construction. It was very fun. And that's important because in 2006, Mark decided to do most of his business in Otsego and Rogers. Great area up there. Amazing. But far from me in Shakopee. And so I got my general contractor's license and started Genesis Construction. So if you guys remember what happened from 06 to 09, the entire global economy just tanked. Real estate sales dropped in half. And I was using these previous skills as a carpenter during the summers in college, and then all this time with Mark. I built 4 homes, and then did about 75 remodeling jobs while also selling real estate. This is an important piece because every single day, every day, for probably 4 years, I went from wearing a tool belt part of the day, throwing all my tools in the car because I demoed a bathroom or was building the deck, to changing into nice clothes and showing houses. So that was incredibly difficult, and those were didn't go by where I didn't question God, what's the plan here? And we're going to get there in a second. That all played out. The dust settled in 2012. Jim Camarada was the team leader at the time, and he essentially put me in a position where he said, you need to do one. You got to pick one of these because going back and forth, it's just not going to work. So that was a big influence in my life because I then did drop Genesis Construction. I use it as background and focus 100% on real estate. So
is that a tough decision that you had?
It was because you know what? I'm going to ask you guys a question. When someone asks, what do you do? And you say, I'm a realtor. Are they like impressed? They're like, wow, that's amazing. You are so cool. Realtors are so cool. Let me ask you another question. What do you do? I'm a custom home builder. What custom home builder is not, doesn't get the first reaction as positive? It's a positive thing. Not many people can do that. Also, I always used to say, Jesus was a carpenter. I mean, come on. If you're going to have something that you're going to do, then let's at least go down this path. So that was the hardest part because Genesis, built some really cool houses and did some amazing things with people. And they were, it's physical and you can see it. And so the real estate, switching to 100% real estate was a little bit challenging. However, out of the 75 remodeling jobs, I sold over 20 of those homes. And it was the most unique thing because I was able to say to people as they're in an open house, it's Genesis Construction. I know you never heard of them, but that was us. We did all of this to the house, so it was like you actually knew what you were selling, which was really fun. So now Keller Williams, I was in the business until I think 2015. And one day 2014, no, 2013 or 14. One day this lady walks into my office and she says, hey, her name was Sherry. She says, hey, I heard that you have got some background in construction and I have been calling expireds. And this guy, Steve Westmark, had a house on Minnetonka listed for a year. It expired. I called them. They want to do an appointment. And I'm new. And I want to know if you'll help me out. And this was fun. I don't know how I thought of this, but I just pulled it out of thin air. I'm like, okay, well, here's the options. First option, you pay me 25% and I'll just be an advisor and you do everything and I'll just walk you through the process. Second option, 50-50. You do 50% of the work, I do 50% of the work, and we will both learn equally. Obviously, I have the experience, so I'll be doing more, but if you want to do that, great. Other option, you pay me 75%, and I still do this, you guys, today with lots of realtors. You pay me 75%, you walk away, I'll do everything, and I'll give you your 25% referral when this thing closes. You can go focus on selling other stuff. She didn't even pause for a second before she said 50-50. And so I'm thinking at that time, I'm like, this lady wants to do 50-50, and she said it so quickly because she wanted to learn. Long story short, we list the house, sell it in 4 days, which was awesome. I met the Dessert twins. They were like 17 years old. Working for Remax when they came to our open house. That was the first time I met them. Sherry and I met them. And so I then invited Sherry to be on my team. She was for 2 years. Her third year, she made so much money that she was paying me way more than was necessary because she now knew what she needed to know. We became business partners. So we were business partners for 7 or 8 years until January of this year. Another important thing that happened in the interim is that we had a situation with a realtor in which we picked up. That realtor retired. We picked up her book of business, and she said, the only way that I'm going to give my book of business, she came to us, to you guys, is if you work with all of my clients collectively, co-listings and co-buyers. So we agreed. We're paying the agent 25%. We're splitting 37% on every deal. We stepped on each other's toes for a couple of years until we finally figured it out. And we've been doing that for 9 years. So right now, Sherry and her daughter, Jordan, who was my director of operations for 5 years for our Brama Real Estate Group team, have their own mother-daughter team. My son Hudson and I have a father-son team, and about 50% of both of our businesses are still co, because any referral that we've gotten from them has expanded into others, and we keep them as co-clients.
What's Sherry's last name again?
Welly, Sherry Welly and Jordan Welly.
Yeah.
So they're amazing. When she joined the team, I said to her, and I would encourage other people when you're having people join your team if you're going to expand. She said, what's the benefit? Like, well, I don't really know, but here's what I would propose. I'm going to call it leapfrog. I will teach you 5 years of real estate in 1 year, which is going to allow you an opportunity. And I said, but there's a caveat. And somebody already mentioned this about me. I said, for 1 year, only a year, you have to do it my way, because I've been doing this now for 17 years, right? After that, you can let me know what's wrong about the way I'm doing it, choose other things, and I'll be open to that. And man, it was a massive burden for her because she's very stubborn and independent in a positive way. But she did do it my way for the first year. I think she did her GCI, her first year was 80. Her second year was like 150, and her third year was mid 200. So she just went. And it wasn't me. It was the fact that we chose to do that together. And so collectively, that was very productive.
Couple of quick questions as you take a breath and drink. So you mentioned Grace Church. Did we grow up in Eden Prairie, kind of the southwest side here? Or?
It's a great question. Grew up in Prior Lake on Murphy-Hanrahan Lake, Murphy-Hanrahan Park Reserve, a 3,000-acre park behind me. So I grew up cross-country skiing and hiking and building forts in the woods. That's important. It's super important to understand. I ask every single client, where'd you grow up? Where'd you grow up? Every single one. Because if you grew up in the city, there's a whole different perspective. If you grew up in the country, if you grew up on a farm, people will be attracted to that. My son and daughter grew up on 10 acres in Whaletail Lake after 4 acres in Shakopee. And so, I mean, my daughter particularly says the Minnetrista house was her favorite because it's just all nature,
Connection point.
Yeah.
Secondly, Steve Westmark, icon in the industry for us old duffers.
Awesome.
How does the listing expire and then we sell it in 4 days? What did we do different? What happened there?
That's a great question. Complacency is a big issue in our industry. It is the greatest advantage that agents with some experience have competing against other agents with a lot of experience. I'm now doing a number of transactions with realtors who still are in the business. I'm 54, and they are 20 years older than me with 20 years more experience at other companies that have been around for a long time, right? Well, before Keller Williams even started. And so what's most common is that they do the same thing over and over and expect that the houses are going to sell. This has always been a dynamic industry. It constantly changes. One of the big reasons I came to Keller is because it was dynamic. It's God family business. It was Joe Cashmore, number one. Christy slowed me down. Love her, but she is a tough. That was Christy Kimball is Joe's partner. And then, we put it all together and it's been amazing. But so we stepped into that and said, well, what do we need to do here that's very different? And the house was in disarray. The sellers, everything we told them, they said nobody ever told us to do any of this stuff. So we did a home prep walkthrough, and we then got contractors together and had them button everything up. And then we did. They weren't doing open houses, and this was a unique one because this was either a remodel, a tear down. There were multiple options. And we got the woman who started the first Nothing Bundt Cakes here in Eden Prairie, and she was married to a guy who worked for Polaris. So they ended up buying it and converted it into a cabin on the lake. It's really cool. So
it's awesome. Are you Hudson?
Yeah, that's my son Hudson.
Okay, and then welcome. How many other kids? Or you said Ashley?
So Ashley's a year older than just a year and a half older than Hudson. 25 and 24?
Yeah, or no, 24 and 26.
24 and 26 for a while. There you go. So yeah, that year and a half. So
Got it. And you're married?
yep, married to Tina.
And is she still licensed?
No, she is not. She was licensed until maybe 2005 or six. She went right from real estate to kids, doing an extraordinary job with that, and then also becoming an interior designer. So that was fun because a lot of the model homes that we built with Mark, my wife would help with all this stuff, and then our clients, she would be designing curtains and getting the houses prepped, and then they'd move into their new house, and she'd do all the interior design there too, which is amazing. But most important about Tina, if you hear anything that should shock you, this is it. I have not paid a bill in, I would say, at least 25 years at all. None. No bills.
They get paid. You don't do it.
I don't do it at all. So Tina has done our taxes, our everything with the business finance, everything with licensing, helped me get out of issues with, stuff when I miss things. And we've got 5 different LLCs now because we got construction. We're part owners of the market center. We've got Brama Real Estate Group. We've got Sherry and I's business collective together. So we've got all these LLCs. Tina does it all. I don't do any of it, and that is such a unique thing. You guys, real estate is super difficult. It takes a lot of attention, and that's the greatest blessing that I have. And if I'm not successful, that is my fault. So.
And there's Hudson, do you have any other administrative support or anyone else on the team?
Yeah, all of Keller Williams Lake Minnetonka. So right now we don't. Yeah, it is Hudson and I. I mean, it was Sherry and I and Jordan. And during the time that Sherry and I were partners, we had probably 5 or 6 different realtors join our team. And that never did really work out for us. They ended up staying in the business and just did other things because, we have very low overhead, which also means mentally you have low overhead. And I had to decide, do you train agents or do you stay focused on doing an extraordinary job for your clients so that they give you referrals? As far as business, so under 90+% of our business is past clients and referrals, pick up new business from open houses, and just different marketing that will be people. We do not market or advertise to people we do not know, because that's not the way we developed our business. There's lots of ways to do it. But that has been everything for us. And Sherry and I together, in both COVID years, we were in the $1 Million Club. It was the 2 of us. That's our 2 commissions together. And then I would say for the last 10 years, I do between 18 and 25 million a year. So, and the goal is 25 to 30. So
25 to 30 this year is the goal?
Yes. Yeah.
Got it. And so do you have a transaction coordinator or any of that type of support or?
Hudson.
Okay, got it. And how long have you worked with that?
Started last July. So for that 6 months, 7 months, I think.
And for whether you're watching online so we have a lot of, not a lot, but we have several family dynamics in our office. How do you, and either of you can answer, how do you maintain, hey, we're in work mode versus dad mode, son mode? How do you maintain okay, it's, 7 o'clock and we're watching the Wolves game and we're like, oh, hey, don't forget to do this tomorrow. How do you shut it on and off, and how do you maintain hats when appropriate?
Oh, I guess we're still kind of figuring it out in a certain way. I mean, it's still new enough that we've never done this before. So it's a big transition, but also I think for me, it's been, a lot of the pressure has been alleviated by the fact of Rick, or my dad, has really kind of been the one to say, when you're not working, and we're not going to be talking about work all the time, which is nice because when you're starting a new job in a new industry, you kind of have to deflect a lot to the people you're learning from. And then for that to also be your father, you've already learned a lot from it. It is a little bit kind of like, yeah, are we in this one continuum or how do we chop this up? And yeah, we've just been pretty strict about like when we're not kind of in business hours, then we're not business focused. If something fun is going on or like something really good happened, I mean, we go to Buffalo Wild Wings every Tuesday or most Tuesdays. Like we'll bring it up, like, hey, that was a great win or whatever, but it's not like we're gonna spend the whole time we're at dinner talking about it, and I think that's just been really good to sort of be like, we have our relationship. And the first thing we said, because my dad came to me with this last July, first thing that both of us had to agree on is like, if the business side of things isn't working, we're just going to cut it off and we're not going to let it, if it's affecting our personal relationship, father-son relationship, well, then we're not doing it. And we're going to get out of it in whatever way to get out of that cleanly, professionally is never going to be worth more than personally.
Yeah, love that.
Can I add to that?
Yeah. And then I got a question for him. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So 9 months into it, as you sit here today, what have you learned about your dad that you didn't know prior to, since you started working with him? Whether that's you look at him differently, you become closer, whatever. Like, how has that impacted your relationship personally, now professionally working together?
That's a good question. I mean, I guess one of the most striking things initially for me was definitely seeing like other adults interacting with my father in a professional sense who have had long-standing professional relationships.
Yeah.
Is a little bit bizarre when you're like just used to your dad being your dad and you see how like the family interacts with your dad, but you never really see like these people who have known him for the last 10 years and he works with in the office. So like kind of like the inside jokes and the things that are going on of like people who know him in a capacity that I've never known him is almost like bizarre because you almost, I don't know, I guess I feel like when I was a kid, it's like when dad goes to work, that's just a whole different world.
Yeah.
I don't know what goes on there. I have no idea what he does all day. I know he drives around and he makes a ton of calls, but like,
Yeah.
I've never really seen how, people interact with the work side of them. We have how our family handles that. And with real estate, it's so unique and fluctuating in schedule and vacations. Do you take calls and that sort of thing? And then so to see the other people who have worked alongside him and also kind of created those boundaries and systems was very interesting. I mean, I think one of the, I guess, strangest parts of it is sort of seeing somebody like take a jab or, kind of like not necessarily being like super disrespectful, but things where it's like, whoa, like you're saying that to my dad? It's like, I can't say that to my dad. Or like growing up, I can't say that to my dad. Like, what are you taking a jab at him? And it's just really kind of weird at first because you're like, oh yeah, well, these people have their own professional relationship. Right. And you kind of look over and it's like, he's not super pissed off. They're not super pissed off. It's all okay. Like, I mean, maybe sometimes, but yeah, it was very, very odd. But ultimately, it's been very, very cool as well to see like the level of respect that a lot of people have for my dad is really cool. I mean, sometimes people come and they'll be like, oh, I'm really grateful for the extra mile and all this stuff, or all these things that they're grateful for. And I'm like, that's really cool. I don't know why you're telling me necessarily because I didn't do it, but it's like, it's really cool to hear that or see people that are just like, they come to our pie event and they're very clearly impacted by the way that my dad does business with them and the way that he's handled, and respected the relationship and the business side of things with people. And that's just such a unique thing that most kids, I don't think, ever get to see their dad. It's, they're in the suit and then they come home and you never see it. And so it's been very interesting to see that kind of like, personal relationships he has with colleagues, and kind of see how their dynamics go around. I'm just like, I'm not a part of this yet, but really, really cool to see like, how people respect him and view him and see the gratefulness that people have that I've always had, but haven't gotten to see all these people that he's worked with. And ultimately too, it's just like something like this in itself is like, really cool to see, like, all these things that he's told me forever, and now he's telling these other people and seeing like the leadership and the communication. It's really inspirational, and to see the dynamicness. And honestly too, like, when I came in, I'm 24, I don't know anything about real estate, and almost right away there were a couple of things where I was like, I don't like how this system works at all, and he was very open to being like, okay, what can we do to adapt? Like he's saying, the dynamic aspect of like, what can we do to make this better then? And he was actually taking my advice, which was cool.
That's awesome. So
Yeah.
let me just add, thank you for sharing. I'm in my 20th year at Keller Williams, and obviously you've been here 15 years. I will say, to echo what you just said, out of the 4,000 agents or whatever there are in our region, he is definitely one of the most well-respected out of our entire region. And so you're very lucky to get a front row seat at that. And I will say, he's definitely got the gift to chat like you do, and that's going to be fun as you guys move forward.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
Go ahead. What were you going to add to that or share, and then we'll move on?
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate that. One thing I think I want to make sure is out front is that this event is not about me. It's not for me. This is for the people who are listening, the people that are in the room, and if there's anybody on Zoom. It really is. And so I appreciate it very much. And at the same time, I want to make sure that I'm bringing forward as much as I possibly can to provide people with some new insight, something that you can bring into your life or your business. And so two things I feel are really important periods. One, about 5 years into the business, my wife approached me, and both of these are kind of emotional circumstances, but she approached me and she said, listen, when I got into the business, she said, when you're at home, you need to be at home. When you're in the business, you need to be in the business. You cannot cross that over. Well, I did. It's almost impossible. This was building the business. And we'd be at the zoo and I'd take a call, lots of calls, right? And so she said to me, she's like, there was one point when she said to me, she says, you either leave your business at work or we're leaving you. So I told you, I was one of them. I'm like, okay, what do I do with that? Obviously it prompted, and I only had one choice. It was like, I need to change right now. That was the beginning. It got enhanced when I asked Sherry Welly if I could hire her daughter, which very few people know. She was young at the time when she got hired. She was 19 and had just gotten her real estate license. And Sherry came to me and she said, I'll let this happen, but if you hurt her, if you treat her badly, if you, so on and so forth. It's so funny the way this works, but she's like, you won't just lose Jordan, but you'll lose me too, and I'm like, okay. One of the big things, imagine having a 19-year-old professionally, 20, 21, 22, didn't change much. When they're not working, they're not working. There's a life there. And so I had to create boundaries and I needed her for a lot because she did director of operations, all the marketing. Hudson is doing the same thing, all the marketing. I don't do finances at home, so all the business finances. Fortunately, he graduated Carlson in finance, but the business finances are, he's managing all of that, paying all the bills, managing all of that. There's so many different things. And when you leave work, you leave work. Okay. So years ago, I came up with this statement, and you've heard it because we talked about this, Julia. We talked about this, that do what you're doing when you're doing it extraordinarily well. That allows me an opportunity to say, if I'm with the family doing a family event, that's what I'm doing. If I'm at the gym working out and I've defined that time for that, that's what I'm doing. If I'm doing real estate at that time, that's what I'm doing. Mentally and psychologically, that's what I had to do. I had to have that statement in my head over and over. Do what you're doing when you're doing it extraordinarily well. It allows you to focus on that one thing there and then block it and move on. So
it's easy to say that when Tina says, leave your work at work, or else. How obviously you go through the mental and emotional process of processing that. But so with your clients, what did you implement? How did you do that? What does that look like today? How do you set expectations?
That's a fantastic question. I'll prompt my answer with this. The big why. That was an important thing. Nobody has to believe this, this is my belief, but I have a strong faith. And so I'm 100% confident God created me. God created everybody equally, and God created everybody on a scale of 1 to 10, a 10. And so with that, I have been gifted and blessed with skills and talents and opportunities to learn things. So there's a couple of things. One, I'm never good enough because there's no limit to God and what God can do in someone's life. So, and I accept that, and I'm going to keep learning. Doesn't matter how old I am and how much I've done over and over the same way. I'm going to keep learning. And then two, with anything that God has gifted me, it needs to be passed on to my clients. That's what I use it for. That's what the psychology and the construction and all of this is for the client, which makes answering that question difficult. Because if you authentically care for your client, which I feel like I do, all of them except for the few that are not nice at all, but most of them I care greatly for, it's hard to set boundaries until I realize that, you know what? Especially once you get into the luxury market, you realize that there are people who set standards in their life that are super important, and they expect the same out of you. And so when a client would reach out to me at 8:30 at night, unless it was an emergency in a transaction that if it didn't go to the next day, I would normally not let them know that, I would go normally not respond. Sometimes I would respond saying, I will let you know first thing tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Right? So I'll get up at 8 a.m. So setting those boundaries with them, because if you leave it open, if you respond, they will continue to ask. And it's always best to just get that out in front. And so when I meet with clients to say, you guys have expectations of me, I want you to let you know what this is great. I want to work with you. You want to work with me. I want to set some expectations as to what my business looks like as well.
So you and I are sitting in the conference room. I'm going to buy a $2 million place out by the lake. Walk me through the conversation. Like, what are you saying to me as the buyer who, if I'm going to text you at 8:30, tomorrow night and be like, oh, that listing looks great. Like, how do you set those expectations? What advice would you give?
Yeah, I would say that here's the thing, Perry, that one, you've chosen to hire me for a reason, okay? Because you do trust that I'm going to do a good job for you. And I have a very serious commitment to doing a good job for you. I do get to choose you as well, and I am choosing you now. And therefore, I just want to make sure we have mutual respect. I'd like to ask you first, your expectations of when we're going to be communicating, especially when it comes to evenings and weekends, and how that relates to your family, because I don't want to be reaching out to you at 6:30 if you're having dinner with your family every single night at 6:30. You don't want to be disrupted. I need to know the same about the weekends. So tell me a little bit about, what's acceptable for when I can communicate with you. First of all, I already asked you the best way to communicate. Mm-hmm. You said text messaging. I'll send emails. I'll let you know I sent an email that you should attend to. Mm-hmm. And then text message if we need to talk, I'll call you. So,
well, I'm pretty excited about this purchase. So if it's, nights or weekends or whatnot, I'm totally open.
Okay. You're totally open. Mm-hmm. That's great. I will tell you that I do work anywhere between 50 and 60 hours a week consistently. Mm-hmm. I do block time for my families and events, and those times are important. I will let you know in advance if I'm not available, but typically you can expect to hear from me any given day during the week up until about 7 p.m. After that, I just commit that to family time and resetting, because I got to be able to get up tomorrow morning and work on your business and my other clients' businesses. And the weekends, I do try to take one day off, and that would be Sunday. Almost everybody respects that I only take one day off, because you say, and also it's like, okay, I know that's just one day off, so I'm not going to bother him on Sunday because I do need that reset. But what I did is asked him first what his standards were. And unfortunately, he said wide open, which means that I then have to set some. Typically, especially if you're buying a $2 million house, he's going to have standards on when he can communicate with people and not. Because their lives are extremely organized and precise, right? Now I showed him the respect, and it's easy to get the respect in return. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like that.
What if we get multiple offers on Sunday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon?
Yeah, so one of the unique things, I'm glad you asked that, because one of the unique things about real estate, and I would tell this to every single agent every day if I could. There are times in this business, and they are very specific times, in which a transaction is make or break. And it is when you get the inspection results back from the agent and you've got less than 24 hours to respond. It's when you get a notification from your lender, who you don't want to call you during a transaction, saying the appraisal came back 10 grand low. And it's most commonly when you've got an offer on the property. If you have a property listed for 3 weeks, you get an offer on that property, what's the most important time in that entire transaction? That hour you got that offer on the property. So during those times, I will be there for you. If it is 9 o'clock at night on a Sunday, as long as I'm not at an event with my wife and I got, if there are those specific times, I will be there for you. Just understand what those are. And I already described what they are. So making sure you're setting a standard for that, because some people might think that, hey, did you see the showing feedback is an emergency?
So let's talk about on that topic. What is your listing time frame strategy? Do you do like the desserts? You go coming soon a week in advance. You list on Fridays, a review on Mondays. Like, do you have a rhythm or a cadence around all that for your own sanity?
Yes. And I do it a little bit different than desserts. There is not a team in real estate that I respect more than Ben and Alex. And Hudson has heard this, and this is typical. This is now me responding to other people's sarcasm. Is desserts told me that they list on coming soon on Friday, make it available the next Friday. So the whole weekend thing. And I said, you're wrong. It should be, and that's what we do. I'm like, you guys are wrong, because on that first weekend, people are looking at your house, but they can't really look at your house, and they're buying another one then, and I'm like, so we list coming soon Monday. And then we do available to show Friday always, and then we do an open house on Saturday always. And 90% of the time for the last 5 years, that house is sold that weekend. So as long as it's not one of that's a real challenging house. So
do you set a standard where we're going to review on Monday to give it 36 hours on the market or anything, or?
No way, because we get on Friday, and this is what is very common, we'll get between 7 and 12 showings. Let's just say where are we, Dinah? Let's say it's 800 and sunny, whatever in Edina, right?
Yeah.
So, you're going to get 15 showings, right? And then you're going to get 3 on Saturday. Maybe one scheduled out for Sunday, but keep in mind, this house has been very properly marketed for 4 days, not just the MLS. 400 and something websites through KW. We've already sent a flyer to all of the neighbors. We've already sent our social media out. We've already hit our 750 sphere of influence with it. Everybody knows this house is there for 4 days. If there's a showing on Sunday, I don't care. Unless the agent calls me and says, hey, out-of-town buyer cash, they are coming from Australia. They can't get here till Sunday. We'll take that into consideration. But you have to take the most, committed and motivated buyers. So I will tell you that I'm going to throw out some numbers, but at least 30% of the houses sell to the first or second showing, at least. Pay attention to that. This is Friday morning at 8 or 9 o'clock, those 2 showings. Don't ever lose track of those 2 showings, because those are people who have been waiting. Got great agents who are getting in. I listed a house, his friend's house, great referral, 1.5 in Chaska. Realtor from a different company, why he's not with us is insane. Calls me and says, this house is perfect for my clients. I am the first showing. We are at 9 o'clock in the morning. This was listed for $1,450,000, right? We're at 9 o'clock in the morning on a Friday. And I'm coming in. I need to know what I need to do to get this house for my client and talk through all these different options. He had an inspector with him. I'm like, that's totally cool. The next showing is not till 11. We only had 5 showings. They bought it $50,000 over cash Saturday morning. I canceled the open house because thought we get more showings, but it's $1,500,000 in Chaska. There's not a lot of $1,500,000 in Chaska. That's not on a lake, or it's just not. And so that one was extraordinary and a perfect example that that first super motivated buyer is coming in early. So yeah, so traditionally this is what we would do. Very common. Let the offers come in. We are required, the broker in the house, a compliance broker, we're required to present those offers as we get those offers. Required. So I let the clients know, I will send you each offer as they come in. It's offer number one. I put that realtor's name behind it. So to Zurich, so that they know, because you see the realtor in front of everything before you go into the PA to see the buyers, you know, so it makes it a little bit easier. Offer number one, I send over to them Friday at 3:00. I'm like, we got 3 other offers that are supposed to be coming in still today. Offer number 2 with a summary, 3, 4, 5. I don't go through it with them. Send them the summary, let them know what's going on. Open houses are great on Saturday because we get like half of those buyers, especially the ones that wrote, come back. And you know who's there? Me, the one who knows everything about the house, to provide some positive, more motivation for them and let them know a little bit more about why they need to be the number one buyer and, you know, up their offer or what have you. And then we never, ever go to, like, I will, unless there's some unforeseen circumstance, I never go to Sunday. I will not go overnight in multiple offers. And that's a long history of psychology saying people, this is a question everybody needs to answer correctly. What percentage of buyers get anxious and nervous when they purchase a house? Who's going to be first? 100%? Anyone disagree?
99.9.
That would be wrong. 100% of buyers get anxious or nervous. Every single one of them. How many people, when they sleep on it overnight, wake up the next morning more excited or more anxious? We're going to take it to the next level because this is cool. Psychology has taught us multiple studies over years that human beings will expend a lot more energy going away from something negative than they will towards something positive. How long can you keep a buyer who's written in multiple offers, been through all the difficulty in this business for the time they've been searching? How long can you keep them excited about the positive? If they switch to the negative and they're like, do we really want to pay $20,000 over for this house when our agent comped it out and the listing agent was right? And we might get it and we might have to money out of pocket if the appraisal comes in low. We're not doing an inspection. My goodness, we only saw it for 35 minutes. As soon as they think negative, they are gone. I don't even try to get people back because I know as soon as they tell me, I have so much relief because we just walked away. You're not getting them back. So I'll save you some time.
There you go. I have a ton more questions. So we have exactly 9 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm not going to ask you to break any NDAs you've signed, but what can you share about your experience of working with the Timberwolves, which I understand you have been?
Yes. So I won't break any NDAs because we have permission to discuss who we've worked with each one of these clients. The way we got connected to the Timberwolves is Sherry and I had a client who we took great care of. We sold his house in Minnetonka, and he purchased a nicer house in Edina, and he was the director of experience for the Timberwolves at the time. And so the first person he connected us to was Alexander Rodriguez, which, if you don't know who that is, that's A-Rod. If you don't know who that is, he dated J-Lo. You know who he is. Okay. He's still to this day, just like Michael Jordan and just like Wayne Gretzky, he is the most awarded baseball player in history. So there is something about him. He's not just a baseball player. He was the top of the top, which is really interesting. And so we started with him and got to work with him. And then we moved on to a number of other players. We worked with Rudy Gobert. We worked with, so just in the past year or so, we worked with Anthony Edwards. He is our client. Bones Highland, Rob Dillingham. I think there's like 8 or 9 of them total. And it's been really fun. One great thing is that Sherry's husband has been a pro athlete trainer his entire career. He runs Training House over at the Vikings facility. His partner was Chris Carter when he started the business in Boca Raton in Florida. So Chris Carter and Bill were partners. And I bring this up because Sherry says to me, All these guys put their pants on the same way. And they're not, yes, they're unique. Not many people can do what Anthony Edwards can do, and I respect that greatly. Even fewer people can do what Rudy Gobert can do, and I respect that tremendously from an athlete and a commitment standpoint. But they are human. They have the same problems, the same issues as we do. So we just take it a little bit, not differently, but we take that responsibility so seriously, because one thing I learned, especially about pro athletes, and this is important, you guys can only imagine, pretty much everybody tries to take advantage of them. If you're around them, Anthony Edwards this next year will make $48.5 million in 1 year. In 1 year, that's what he gets, the salary. People will take advantage of that. We don't. I'll give you a perfect example. He wanted a hot tub. And again, everybody knows this, it's in his yard, but what you don't know is that they didn't know. So they had me pick out the hot tub. And I said to his manager, who is our client and probably our favorite client ever. And I will tell you, Justin Holland, Janine Holland, the nicest people you'll ever meet. They're amazing. Amazing what he has done for Anthony. But could have got a $40,000 hot tub, could have got anything, but I didn't know if they were going to like it. So I picked out the hot tub for them, helped them buy it, taught them how to use it, because it's like, they don't know. Don't spend the extra money. There's tons of stuff where we saved them $2,000 or $8,000. Well, $2,000 or $8,000 is a couple of shoes. You know what I mean? So, but we're doing it because of integrity. We want to make sure that we're doing the same thing, that we're not taking advantage ever. That means every contractor we refer to them cannot take advantage of them. So it's been awesome. Yeah.
I was going to ask you, and I know you shared a few, but what are some of your biggest lessons you've learned, or anything that you now put into your business as a result of working with them? I will just comment in my KWSC experience. Some of the wealthiest people that you work with are also some of the nicest, most generous, and also can be the most frugal as well. Like every dollar matters to them, just like it does to us. And it doesn't matter if they're making X millions per year.
Yeah, I would say that's great. I'm excited to answer this one. So one thing, because I read through the questions initially, right? And one of the things I wanted to make sure comes up is that some of the most important things, and one of the most important things, do not work with people that don't respect you, or that are not going to be a good match. My wife was unbelievable at that. I just didn't listen. I mean, go figure. It was just my fault. She's like, the greatest thing she taught me is that if it's not going to work, first of all, if they're not going to buy now, okay, move on. Because you know how many buyers are out there are buying now? Find them. So she would move on. She'd walk into a house, and I'll go quick. She'd walk into a house, and she told every one of her clients, you walk into this house, there's something you don't like about it, like, it's not the right house. We are not looking at the rest of the house, because we're going to spend more time at the house that you're going to buy. She was just move on, right? And it goes hand in hand here. Do not work. There are shiny objects and shiny people. I mean, do not work with people because you're enamored by the idea of it might raise you to a different level. It needs to be, and this is the most important thing. And I think you guys, a couple of you have heard this. So have a client who is now a close friend. Okay. Have you ever heard of Seller Roofing and Remodeling? Have you ever been watching the Minnesota Wild game and seen the commercial that Sherry Welly and I say, just say Sella, because we're on a commercial for Sella? Well, Amit is my client, and he's given me permission to talk about this in certain situations. There was a day when I listed a house for him. He bought and remodeled a McMillan house in Minnetonka, and I listed this house for him, and buyer came in, walking down the street, ended up buying it before it went on the market. Realtor representing the buyer sent us an inspection report with like 20 things on it. This house was perfect. There was nothing wrong with it at all. We got on the phone, and this gentleman yelled and screamed at me. He swore at me. He said, you're never going to do business in this state again. You're, so on and so forth. So we hung up, and my wife heard some of it. And this is the key. So she says to me, I get a little bit emotional about it, because it's such a, how do I say this? Such an important thing to acknowledge yourself as well. Is that she says, who is that? And yeah, it's him. And she's like, okay, you got a choice right now, and you need to make it now. She said, you need to either call him back and tell him he cannot communicate like that to you ever again, or you need to just decide to work with him, and let him treat you that way. And I'm like, well, this is years ago, a $1.1 million listing, $34,000, $5,000 commission that I didn't even do anything. I mean, we were selling in pre-market, and I was thinking of that. So I called him back and I told him, and the phone was quiet for a second and he hung up on me. He didn't respond. So 2 days went by. We were in the middle of this transaction. We had one more day before they had to sign everything. Days go by and almost done. And he calls me back and he says, what was the difference? He said, nobody's ever spoken to me like that, and I was respectful, but he was such an aggressive person that everyone around him just got out of the way. I mean, think that I'm persuasive. He was and is. And now we are friends. My wife and I were at his house on Friday for dinner, and we didn't talk business. We just hung out with him. So.
Love that. I have one final question and then we got a break. Can you share with us what your tattoo means?
Jeez, man. Yeah. My tattoo says calm. And do you know this?
No, I don't. I just saw it as we sat here. So yeah.
My sister tattooed this with the tap ones. She's a great artist and everything. And she's got a few tattoos. I do too. But there was a point where I had been told that it was 7 or 8 years ago, that I went in for all kinds of heart issues because of stress. Anyone get stressed in this job? And it was pretty scary. And they had identified that at some point I had a heart attack and didn't know it. And it was probably within 3 years, they said. And it was now that, the part of my heart that was permanently damaged was causing some issues because I was so out of shape and stressed. And so the big thing was to calm, to be peaceful. And so my daughter tattooed it on my arm. And that just helps me every day realize, just take a breath. It's way more important than any business that you're ever. So.
Love that.
It's fun.
I think we end there. Thank you for all you do for our industry, for Keller Williams, for the people individually in this office. We're just grateful to be in business with you. And yeah.
I'm here for a reason, you guys. I'm here because there is no other business like this at Keller Williams. There just isn't. And I'm not, it's people. The right people choose to come here for the right reasons. So surround yourself with them.
Love it.
Thank you.
All right, let's give him a round of applause. Good. Fun to see you grow, and
yeah, he's changing